Steel seas and silent killers. How ceci konom. How naval warfare decided World War II. The oceans didn't just witness World War II, they decided it. Long before the final flags were raised, steel giants were already rewriting history on open water. This wasn't romance or adventure. This was survival at scale. Control the seas and you controlled the war. Lose them and everything else collapsed. This is the scars of a global storm fronts, where we strip war down to its bones. And today we're diving straight into the cold, ruthless truth of naval warfare in World War II. The sea lanes that fed empires. Naval warfare in World War II was not about flashy battles alone. It was about logistics, food, fuel, steel, troops. Nations didn't just fight with guns, they fought with supply chains. If ships stopped moving, armies stopped breathing. Across the Atlantic and Pacific, merchant ships became lifelines. Thousands were built fast and cheap because, well, speed mattered more than beauty. Lose too many ships and factories ran dry. Cities starved, armies froze. That's why naval escorts became as important as battleships. Protect the cargo or lose the war without firing a shot on land. This is where naval warfare became a numbers game. Whoever could build ships faster, replace losses quicker, and keep the sea lanes open gained unstoppable momentum. Submarines, the invisible terror. Nothing haunted sailors more than what they couldn't see. Submarines turned the ocean into a killing field. They didn't need size, they needed patience. German submarines hunted in coordinated groups, striking merchant convoys under cover of darkness. One torpedo, one explosion. One ship gone. Early in the war, defences were weak. Losses were catastrophic. Entire crews vanished into black water without warning. But naval warfare evolves fast in total war. Sonar improved. Depth charges became more accurate. Escort ships multiplied. Air patrols closed the gaps. By mid-war, submarines were no longer hunters alone. Many became hunted. Still, submarines reshaped warfare forever. They forced innovation. They forced vigilance. And they proved that dominance doesn't always come from size, but from strategy. Aircraft carriers change everything. World War II ended the age of the battleship, not with ceremony, with fire. Aircraft carriers, well, they truly transformed naval warfare by moving the battlefield far beyond the horizon. Planes launched from these floating runways struck ships that honestly never even saw their attacker. Battles were now decided by pilots who never caught so much as a glimpse of the enemy fleet. This shift, you could say, changed naval thinking overnight. Power was no longer measured by armour thickness or the calibre of a ship's guns. It was all about range, coordination, and really, air superiority. A well-protected carrier group became the most lethal weapon on the sea. By the end of the war, battleships had, in effect, become escorts. The carrier ruled the oceans, and, you know, modern naval warfare has never looked back. Radar, and, well, the science of survival. These became the silent game changers. Technology quietly became the deadliest weapon at sea. Radar turned darkness into visibility, plain and simple. Radio intelligence exposed enemy movements. Code breaking allowed entire fleets to anticipate attacks before they even happened. This wasn't luck, not at all. It was science, weaponized. Naval commanders who frankly understood information warfare gained massive advantages. Surprise attacks failed when detected early. Convoys, well, they were rerouted before submarines could even arrive. Entire battles were won, sometimes without firing first. World War II proved beyond a doubt that knowledge is firepower. And in the end, the ocean rewards the side that sees first. Amphibious warfare and the floating invasion. Naval warfare wasn't confined to ship-on-ship combat. It enabled invasions that reshaped continents. Massive fleets transported soldiers, tanks, fuel and hope across hostile waters. Landing ships delivered armies directly onto enemy shores. Without naval dominance, these invasions would have been impossible. Control of the sea meant control of where and when wars were fought. Naval power dictated the pace. It chose the battlefield. It opened doors that land forces alone could never break. This fusion of sea, air and land warfare became a blueprint still studied today. The human cost beneath the waves. For all the steel and strategy, naval warfare remained brutally human. Sailors fought firestorms on burning decks. Crews froze in lifeboats for days. Submarine crews endured crushing pressure and air so foul it burned the lungs. Survival rates were low. Rescues were rare. The ocean showed no mercy. Yet morale mattered. Training mattered. Leadership mattered. The crews that held together under stress often survived longer. Naval warfare punished weakness instantly and rewarded discipline without hesitation. Why did naval warfare decide the war? World War II was won as much at sea as it was on land. Nations that mastered naval logistics, technology and coordination, well, they gained overwhelming advantages. The oceans became highways of power and, honestly, graveyards of ambition. Once naval superiority tipped, the outcome just followed. Industrial output surged, armies advanced, air power expanded. The sea, really, carried victory forward. This wasn't accidental. It was engineered. And in the end, it changed the world. Lessons that still echo today. Modern navies still follow World War II's playbook. Control the sea lanes, protect logistics, dominate the information space, integrate air, sea and intelligence seamlessly. The weapons look different, sure, but the principles, well, they don't. World War II. Naval warfare taught a timeless lesson. Wars are not won by just one battle. They're won by sustained control. Day after day, ship after ship, mile after mile of open water. And that's honestly the scar the ocean still carries. If you value deep, no-nonsense history that cuts through the noise, you're in the right place. Subscribe to the Scars of a Global Storm Fronts. Share this with someone who thinks wars are only won on land. And stay sharp, because history doesn't fade. It waits.